Hi there, this is Chris from MoneyHub, and this video looks at pre-existing medical conditions and how they affect life insurance. We've published a very comprehensive guide, which I've linked to down below in the description. And the purpose of this video is to just go through and talk about some of the more important points, things to consider, and must-know facts so you can make an informed decision should you have a pre-existing condition and then be looking to buy medical insurance. To buy life insurance. So first up, just as a background, what is life insurance? You probably know that it's a financial payout should you die or be diagnosed with a terminal illness, and that payout goes to your beneficiaries, usually your family. And the design of it is to pay out for things that you owe money on. So if you have a mortgage or if you just want to leave money to your family, then that's the purpose of life insurance. I put that up the front here just to explain it, because I think it's just important to just remember like what life insurance actually is. Many people in New Zealand have pre-existing conditions, and they may already be sick, long-term illnesses, long-term ailments, and then confused about whether or not someone will insure them. The answer is what your medical condition is will really drive the pricing of insurance or what you can actually get covered for. So what I'm going to talk about here is what is a pre-existing medical condition, and then what policy might you be offered if you have such a condition, and then I'll go through some frequently asked questions. The first thing I want to say though is whatever you do, please make an informed decision. Don't switch if you've already got a policy and there's some issue come up health wise. Please just take it very, very slowly. Be very open in your communication with your family. If you have an insurance broker, be talking to them honestly as well and upfront, because you don't need to go at this alone. People are there to help you, and we just don't want people making rash decisions because that's what they think at the time. It is your life and it is your family, and just take things slowly. So I just wanted to say that up front as a general advisory, because we know that people are very emotional around this, and of course it's life insurance, it's money, it's big money often. We just want them to sort of go slowly. So I'm going to go straight into what's a pre-existing medical condition. It's defined as a medical issue the doctor has diagnosed you with slash treated you for applying for life insurance. So when you fill out an application, then you'll be asked a lot of questions around your health, and in many cases as well, if you're a bit older or fit a certain criteria, then you'll be going for a medical examination, and the process is called medical underwriting, and that's really just designed to identify any pre-existing conditions you have. So these pre-existing conditions, what exactly are they? So the things like asthma, the things like previous cases of cancer, depression, diabetes, epilepsy, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart disease, HIV, things like that, obesity. These are all drivers of risk for an insurer, especially a life insurer. And so if you are looking for life insurance, having some of these pre-existing conditions, or one of them at least, is certainly something which will affect how likely they'll pay out for your death. I don't mean to be so upfront, but that is exactly what they are risk assessing. So the more complicated or the more problematic your pre-existing conditions, often the higher the cost of the policy that you'll pay, or the more restricted the cover, or both. So can you get life insurance with a pre-existing condition? Well, the answer is yes, but it really is going to depend on which insurer you use and what you're actually applying for. What we've said here, and this rings true from what we've heard about from within the industry and talking to the experts here, is that some insurers will automatically exclude you from getting a policy for certain pre-existing conditions, and those are ones which directly have impact on your life, directly have life expectancy impact. So that's just, if you are looking at something and you do have a terminal illness, then it's going to be hard to get policies in place there, and other conditions as well. It really just comes down to your overall health assessment. So we're not going to just name things and, that's it. It's just going to have to make the applications and see what comes back. That's pretty much we're back from the insurer. So moving on from there, For other conditions, it's going to depend on the severity of the pre-existing condition and how long ago it was diagnosed. So what the approach there is, an insurance company will look at everything. They've got the medical underwriters, often experienced health workers, and sometimes just experienced people in this sort of line of work. And if you've been diagnosed with the pre-existing conditions, what your options or what sort of decision will follow will be either the insurer denies your application over outright, they may increase the rate that you pay for your life insurance policy. So this is where, you're offered something at one point, or you've already got a policy in place, and now because of this pre-existing condition has to change. It could be an issue where, like, they may limit the amount of insurance that you can purchase. So say you want $500,000 worth of cover, they're not comfortable with that. They'll say, no, you can have 250,000 max because of the heightened risk. And overall, they might just say, no, look, we're not going to cover for life insurance. But, we might offer you things like income protection or mortgage protection insurance. Conversely, they may, just limit that altogether and say, no, we're not going to offer you anything, or just scale down the benefits and the coverage. And then they may limit what you can add to life insurance policies as well. So, and this can be living benefits, long-term care, things like that. So really, it's going to come down to making quotes. It's going to come down to getting quotes, making applications, and just doing a general deep dive into, seeing where it lands, and just going through the process of answering questions from the insurance companies so that you can get a range of quotes. Many people decide to work with a broker, and that's perfectly reasonable. It's often easier, especially if brokers are more familiar with certain conditions and they know which insurers are more likely to cover them, which policies are better. So that's something to be aware of. That comes down to just calling up a few brokers, seeing who you kind of fit with and who sort of gels well with you, explaining your situation. They obviously want to, pick up new clients, but at the same time, they want clients who are, going to help themselves and also be around for a while. So it's definitely in your interest to pick up the phone and just make some inquiries and be fully transparent with whatever health situation that you have or pre-existing condition. What are life insurance policy exclusions? This is really important. For some policies, actually most policies will deny cover overall, which makes the paying for life insurance a total waste of time. So suicide is one of those things. Illegal activity, say, for example, driving while drunk, causing death, committing a burglary, having a fatal accident as a result of that, things like that, that often will invalidate a life insurance policy. Risky activity where they've been excluded, things like skydiving, deep sea fishing, if that can be excluded in some policies, you'll have to check. Substance abuse, often if it's drug abuse related, something to do with alcohol abuse, so you will have to check your policy. That's the answer there, because every policy is different. And then of course misrepresentation. This is pretty standardized over all life insurance policies. It's like if you've lied or if you've provided false information, then you're not going to be eligible for a payout, or your policy holders, so your beneficiaries won't receive the money. So be very honest. Don't muck around with this, because it's really, really important you're upfront and honest. And life insurance companies are forensic when they need to pay, and so they will fund anything which is not, consistent with what you've told them. And then, what policy might I be offered if I have a medical condition? Usually, this is going to come down to your unique situation, and like you may be offered a lower death benefit. Strike that comment. Sorry, and you may be offered a different type of policy. So that's basically what it could come down to. The condition is really going to drive what the results are. So we've just put some summary stuff there, but it's not really uh, in our interest to be too specific, because everyone's different. And what's going to happen if I can't get life insurance with my pre-existing condition? Well, the answers here are pretty limited. First of all, I'll just start with the self-insurance. I think that's the easiest one. So self-insure means that you just pay into a fund, say a call account, a term deposit, something like that, where you just put in some money each month, like you would pay for a life insurance policy, and then hope that sort of builds up over time, and that's going to be your, sort of benefit for any of people that you would obviously normally name as policyholders. So a loved one, your children, spouse, partner, etc., etc. That's pretty much a common, a common result from not being able to be insured, or sometimes the insurance is just it's going to be too expensive, so it just makes sense in that case if you decide that, well, I'm not going to spend all this money on life insurance, I might as well just that money into my own bank account to benefit others should something bad happen to me. Many people do self-insure for health insurance, pet insurance as well, so they don't take out the insurance, they just put some money aside and see what happens. But that's something to consider. There's also group life insurance. So this is back to the kind of more, the kind of unique options, but they do exist. So companies and some government departments offer group life insurance for their employees. Check if you're eligible for that. Check if you are covered, if it's being offered by your employer or wherever you work. You may be limited in what you can actually get, but it could be better than nothing. So just see uh, what the options are. Usually, though, you'll lose the cover if you leave your job, but sometimes you can convert them to individual policies. So just ask the questions, talk to HR, and see if such a thing exists. And then guaranteed acceptance life insurance. These are very specialist policies, and they usually have a high cost, but they will, as their name suggests, guaranteed to accept, but it may not be worth it, and thus you may just want to self-insure. What can I do before applying for life insurance if I have pre-existing conditions? That's a very common question. Really, it comes down to just being as healthy as possible. These conditions still need to be disclosed, of course, um, but if you can, like big risks to insurers are people who are overweight and people who have these conditions that are sort of not really treated, or uncontrolled, then that's going to be a flag, or it's going to be a red flag, and it's going to be a problem. But if you do have medication, if you're consistent with your treatment of them and they're not flaring up or they're not becoming big problems, then that's clearly under control, and that makes it more acceptable to an insurer. Of course, there'll still be heightened risk and higher premiums, but something to be aware of. Losing some weight, as I previously said, often helps. That's not advice to lose weight. That's not any prejudice there. It's just me saying that that is commonly sort of accepted, that people who weigh less usually will have some benefits of being lower risk, not always. So that may not apply. And then working on your health as well. So if you have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, you've really just going to take some time to get those things down. Healthier lifestyle, taking in less of what causes these things for you, stress less, etc., etc. So there will be some pre-existing conditions, of course, that you can't change, but those that you can change, really, it's going to be helpful to try and minimize their effects. That will bring down the cost of your policy because your risk lowers. And this is why many people get life insurance when they're young and healthy. When they first not when they're young and healthy and have no dependents, but when they're young, healthy, have a mortgage, with children, a loved one, etc., and just kind of starting off their life there. That is where life insurance is becoming, well, first of all, it's becoming more popular because of the overall cost of living and just with the great risks that are out there. And, the absolute, I mean, it's hard enough to pay a mortgage with two salaries for many people in New Zealand, let alone if someone dies as part of a couple and the other one has to try and pay the mortgage, which is very, very hard. So young and healthy people obviously are favored by life insurers. Like older people with said pre-existing conditions, or one pre-existing condition, is often a bit of a tougher sell. And the older that you get, of course, the more health issues that arise, and the more pre-existing conditions that you have to deal with, and thus higher risk to an insurer. So that is what we've put together in our summary of life insurance, which I've linked to down below as well. And it's good just to go through and see some more information around what is driving life insurance costs overall. With regards to pre-existing medical condition, frequently asked questions, I have heard a lot of questions in from user feedback, and we continue to display those as they come in. So if you do have any questions, please do ask us if they're not answered, because we're always looking to make our guides more comprehensive. And you can have a read of these ones here. I'm not going to go through them, but it's basically like, what can a life insurance company tell what pre-existing conditions I have from the prescription drugs I take? Well, the answer to that is yes, but you can read more. And how do I know which insurance company may accept me with the pre-existing conditions? The answer there is really to look at insurance brokers, because they will know exactly, as I previously said, where the suitable sweet spots are for insurers for certain conditions. And then, are there any pre-existing conditions or life insurance regulations? Well, you can argue yes, you can argue no. Um, but life insurers at the end, do not have to insure someone that they don't want to. So they can basically do what they want. And can you get a joint life insurance policy if one of you has a pre-existing condition? The answer is yes. But of course, the costs will be weighted in there and like affected. And then, how do pre-existing conditions affect income protection? That is usually not in a very good way. So if you do have a pre-existing condition and you're wanting to take out further protection, um, a further policy for anything like being unable to work, then there's going to be higher costs versus someone who's otherwise not got a pre-existing condition. And then finally, are there life insurance policies in New Zealand specifically designed for people with pre-existing conditions like cancer or diabetes? No, but certain insurers will be more flexible than others. So that's why we say, if you talk to an insurance broker, like, you're going to find out some more things there and probably get a sort of better response than just phoning around insurers directly, spooking them, not really being able to explain conditions as well as an insurance broker would. So definitely consider talking to an insurance broker there. So thanks very much for watching. If you do have any questions, as I say, please leave them in the comment section below. We're highly responsive to those, and we really want to be as comprehensive as possible. So every comment helps us. Thanks very much, and best of luck with your life insurance search.